Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. Oh my gosh, it feels so weird. I look a hot mess. Excuse my hair. I literally just chose a wall downstairs, turned on the light, and here we are. It feels so weird being back in front of the camera, but I'm actually really excited to be able to record this and to talk about a few things that have been really heavy on my heart. So without further ado, if you are new to my channel, welcome. My name is Marisella, and if you aren't new and you are a follower, thank you for sticking around. I truly appreciate you. I know that I haven't put much content, but I'm going to start hopefully be putting up more stuff on this channel. So thank you again for sticking around, and hopefully you stick around longer. So yeah, if you aren't following me on social media, I haven't done a video for probably well over a year. Me and my husband welcomed a beautiful, me and my family welcomed a beautiful baby boy last year in August. His name is Benjamin Ray. If you're following me on my makeup channels on Instagram and Snapchat, you would have seen him. He is a beautiful, precious little boy. We just love him. I find a lot of people love him, not only myself. He's just everyone's little sugar pie. So yeah, we've been pretty busy with him. Like I said, we welcomed him back in August, and it's just been crazy ever since. First of all, I just want to talk about kind of why I've been MIA. When I had Benjamin, our pregnancy went really well. I didn't have any problems. I gave a full term, I got to full term. The labor was a whole nother story. It was a crazy experience, but everything went well for the most part. But a few weeks after my son was born, we noticed he had a lot of bleeding in his stools, and I was breastfeeding, and this was the first time that I was successful at breastfeeding. He took well very quickly, like he latched on and he was set, but we just noticed that there was a lot of bleeding, so I ended up taking him to the hospital, which ended to a long stay. I don't want to go into detail, but it was pretty scary. We had to stay there for about a week, and they didn't really know what was going on with Benny. It was kind of just like something's wrong and it's serious. So for the most part, it had to do at first with his platelets. So they just seen that his body wasn't producing the amount that was needed for a normal number in your body, so that you're in a safe zone, so you're not bleeding. If you're not aware of what a platelet is, because I was completely oblivious to what a platelet was. It is the cells in our bone marrow that clot our blood, so they help that we don't bleed out, or like if we get a cut, it'll stop the bleeding. And Benny didn't have any of those, so that's why he was bleeding out of his stools. The big question now was why. Other than that, he didn't have too many things going on. We did know that there was something wrong, but we didn't know why his platelets were so low. So they just continued to do a lot of studies on my son. Ended up doing some genetic testing. The genetic testing was taken, I think, when he was like 2 months, but it took a while. So we didn't get the news. We didn't get the results back until January. January came of this year, and they gave us the results back, and pretty much they came back that my son had Wiskett-Aldrich syndrome. Now, Wiskett-Aldrich syndrome, I was kind of like, what? All I heard was syndrome, and to me that was just not good. Any kind of syndrome, automatically my mind thought the worst. So I wasn't really sure what to think about it, but I did know something was wrong. So they told me, the first things that came out of the doctor's mouth was pretty much, there's no cure other than a bone marrow transplant. And so again, me not knowing what any of these things are, I'm just kind of like Google, which I really don't do that. Don't do that to yourself. But that's what I did. I got on Google and I started searching while he left the room, and then he came back, and I was kind of like all this stuff in my head, and I was just a wreck. So pretty much Wiska-Aldrich syndrome is an immune deficient disease. It's a error in the X gene of the body. Usually the boy is more affected, being that he only has one X gene. The girls are less likely to be affected. If they do have the syndrome, they'll probably just be a carrier, which isn't Benny's case. He is affected with this disease because of the genetic error. He lacks protein in his body, which affects the bone marrow. That's why his platelet number was off, and then eventually it will start affecting his white blood cells, which are his immune blood cells, his immune system, and he is more prone to serious diseases. And he's more easily to get, like, he has more chances of getting sick, which isn't good. So luckily to this point, God has really covered my son. I am a firm believer in the covering that God has bestowed upon my son. Like, being that Benny has what he has, and I've read and I've looked up all these different cases and these kids who have been affected with it, Benny has yet to show any serious complications as far as his immune system. His skin does have issues, because with Wiska-Aldrich syndrome, other than the platelet problem, you start to get really bad eczema. And my son has shown eczema mostly around his ears. Nothing that can't be treated with some steroid cream, but we have seen it worse on other kids. So I'm so grateful that my son hasn't shown worse signs of eczema, but he has definitely had an issue with his platelets. Benny has bled. Oh, he's bled so many places. He's bled in his stool when he was first born. That's where he started bleeding the most. He's bled around his ears. He's bled out of his nose. He's bled out of his eyes. Yeah, he's just bled a lot. So we knew that it was something serious. The doctors told us, like I said, there was no cure other than a bone marrow transplant. So that's just so scary. Like, sorry. I don't want to make this video something sad, because I can't express how blessed we are. We are so blessed. My son is probably one of the strongest individuals that I know, and he's not even a year old. So it's humbling to me, and I rarely cry. I really truly try not to cry, because, you know, to see what he has endured to this point and what's to come for him makes me feel like there's no room for sadness. Like, we have to have faith in God that everything's gonna be okay. It could always be worse, because, you know, bone marrow transplant, you need a donor, and we automatically thought that because he has siblings, they were gonna be a match. In Benny's case, that wasn't his case. Both of my kids weren't a match for their brother. And I'm over here thinking, like, who's going to be a match. You know, is it going to be my oldest daughter? Is she going to be scared? Is it going to be my baby boy, my son, Isaac? Is he going to be scared because he's so young? And then when I got the news that they weren't a match, either of them, I'm like, wait, what? Like, now what? So they told me, you know, he's going to have to be put on the registry, and there's a chance that there's not a match for my son. There's kids out there with immune deficient diseases, with leukemia, with, you know, Wiskett-Aldrich syndrome, that need a bone marrow transplant, that don't have siblings, that don't have a match. And thank God my son had a match. And this person, this stranger that we don't even know, is gonna be able to help my son and to give him a chance of growing and becoming whoever God wants him to be. And I'm completely humbled and taken back by the amount of grace God puts on our family. And I really, it just, when I hear it, like when I hear myself say it, I feel like that's when I start getting choked up, because I'm just like, wow, like I could sit here and think, oh my gosh, like all this is happening to us, my poor boy, you know, my poor family, my kids have to see this, and my husband has to, you know, be strong for us. But it's like, we're so blessed. We are so blessed that Benny is going to be able to, you know, receive this transplant and receive this donor's bone marrow. And we need prayer. I want to start making videos to, you know, document this journey that we're about to go on, not only to bring awareness for Wiskett-Aldrich syndrome and to bring awareness for any kind of immune deficient disease where you can be able to help by donating, whether it's blood, bone marrow, anything that could help someone like my Benny. If I can do that with making these videos, I'm completely on board, because how I felt when they told me my son, you know, was diagnosed with Wiskett-Aldrich syndrome was the worst. It was probably the worst moments I've ever felt when they told me. So if I am able to, you know, comfort another family, another mother, by documenting our journey, I would be very happy to do that. My son is going to be receiving his transplant very soon. I think I've been holding off making this video because he was diagnosed at 4 months. So Benny's going to be 10 months the 17th, and he will be admitted into the hospital the 18th to start his treatment for his bone marrow transplant. So we're very nervous. I'm actually more nervous, not necessarily for the transplant itself, but for the chemotherapy he will have to receive before the transplant and after. It just scares me. It scares me, just the whole thing. I mean, the transplant scares me too, but I think just you hear chemo and your heart just stops, because you're like, wait, what? He's gonna have to get chemo? Like, why? But my son is a soldier, and I know that God has covered us and he has helped us through this to this point, and I have no doubt that he is going to continue to cover my son. And you know, just I can't wait for my son to grow up and to see this, to be able to see this, like to be able to document this for him, so that he can see how he, you know, went through this and how he survived this at his age and how all of us came together as a family. I think would be so powerful for him to be like, God helped me through that. God healed me from that. And so I'm just excited. I'm excited for this to be over. I'm excited for this to be over because I'm definitely nervous for this transplant. But I definitely, like I said, I want to document this. I want to share this with anyone that it will be helpful for, to give hope. And just I'm asking for prayers for my son, for little Benny. Keep him heavy on your heart, that everything goes good. Like I said, he will be admitted into the hospital the 18th. He will be going through the chemotherapy up until his transplant, which I believe will be the 28th of June. This week he's gonna get his central line placed on Tuesday. So hopefully if I get this video up by tomorrow, it'll be Monday. Yeah, so Tuesday he's gonna get his central line placed. So they will put him to sleep because they do have to take his EKG test, his echo test, hearing test. They're just gonna do an organ test from what they told me to make sure everything looks good. And since they're putting him to sleep, they are going to put his central line in his chest de una vez, because they don't want to put him to sleep again. So pray for him that all goes well with that, that he doesn't rip it out of his chest, because he's going through a little phase where he likes to smack you and get a little crazy. And so pray for me for that I can get through that phase with him. But yeah, I just want to say a huge thank you, like I said, to all the supporters out there who have been so helpful through this journey, who have messaged me, who have shared stories with me. I'm humbled and I'm truly grateful. And like I said, hopefully you guys will join me on this journey with my little baby Benny and our family. And we'll just surround him with prayer and just good vibes. And if you do have any questions, please leave them down below. Let's spread awareness for Wiskett-Aldrich syndrome, not only for Benny, but for all of the beautiful souls that have been affected by this sickness. And hopefully, you know, we'll be able to make a difference with, even if it's just this video. If you didn't know what Wiskett-Aldrich syndrome is, I'm going to leave a link down below because I suck at explaining. I get a little, as you can see, but do your research. Wiskett-Aldrich syndrome isn't the only immune deficient disease out there. So all of the beautiful, beautiful angels that are touched with these diseases, any kind of immune deficient disease, my heart goes out to you and your family. And I hope that you can join me on this journey and we can look back at this video and see all that we overcome in the future. So thank you again for watching this video, taking the time to stop by, and hopefully you guys stick around. And if you aren't a part of the family, you guys get a part of the family so you can follow with us on this journey. So I'm gonna leave a couple pictures of my little Benny boy just because he's sleeping. But if you aren't following me on social media, you'll be able to see him as well on there. So yeah, that's all I kind of wanted to share. If I did miss anything, I will post it on the next one. I just wanted to jump on here and do that. And that is my cue because I think Benny's awake. So thank you guys, and I will see you on the next one. Bye.